The ghost town of Centralia, a real-life Silent Hill. In the lush, rolling hills of Pennsylvania, a small town once thrived with the sounds of life and industry. Centralia, a bustling coal mining community, was home to families who built their lives around the rich anthracite deposits that fueled their prosperity. Yet today, Centralia is a ghost town, its streets empty and cracked, its homes abandoned, and its air heavy with the stench of sulfur. Beneath its surface, an unrelenting underground fire has raged for over 6 decades, consuming the town from below and turning it into a cautionary tale of greed, disaster, and eerie survival. Centralia is more than a ghost town, it is a living legend and the chilling inspiration for Silent Hill. A promising beginning. Centralia was founded in 1866 during the anthracite coal boom. The town's location atop rich coal veins made it a prime destination for miners and their families. For decades, the town flourished, with a population of over 2.0 at its peak. Schools, churches, and businesses thrived, and the people of Centralia took pride in their community. But beneath this prosperity lay a dangerous secret, a network of labyrinthine coal mines that stretched for miles beneath the town. These mines, though profitable, created a fragile foundation that would one day lead to Centralia's destruction. The fire that never died. In May 1962, Centralia's fate was sealed. A fire set to clean up a landfill near the town's old mines accidentally ignited an exposed coal seam. What should have been a controlled burn quickly spiraled out of control. The fire spread into the mines, feeding on the rich deposits of anthracite and growing with an insatiable hunger. Efforts to extinguish the fire were futile. Trenches were dug, tunnels flooded, and inert gases pumped underground, but nothing could stop the flames. Experts warned that the fire could burn for decades or even centuries, consuming the coal beneath the town and creating an ever-growing hazard. The slow descent into chaos. As the fire burned beneath Centralia, the town above began to change. Roads cracked and buckled from the heat, releasing plumes of smoke and toxic gases. Sinkholes opened without warning, swallowing trees, cars, and sections of homes. The air in Centralia became increasingly dangerous to breathe, laced with carbon monoxide and other toxic fumes. Families began to fall ill, suffering from chronic headaches, nausea, and respiratory problems. One of the most chilling incidents occurred in 1981. 12-year-old Todd Domboski was playing in his backyard when the ground beneath him collapsed, exposing a sinkhole filled with deadly gases. Clinging to tree roots, Todd narrowly escaped death. The incident underscored the growing peril of life in Centralia. The evacuation of Centralia. By the 1980s, the fire had spread beneath most of the town, rendering it uninhabitable. The federal government declared Centralia a disaster area and allocated millions of dollars to relocate its residents. Many left reluctantly, abandoning homes that had been in their families for generations. Yet, not everyone was willing to leave. A handful of residents refused the buyouts, choosing to remain despite the dangers. These holdouts argued that the fire would eventually burn out, and that Centralia was still their home. Today, fewer than a dozen people remain in Centralia, living amidst the ruins and smoke, defying evacuation orders. A town transformed. The Centralia of today is unrecognizable from its former self. Streets are overgrown with weeds, houses stand empty, their windows shattered, and the once vibrant community is eerily silent. Graffiti Highway, a stretch of abandoned road covered in colorful spray-painted messages, has become a symbol of the town's surreal transformation. Yet beneath the surface, the fire continues to burn, creating an environment that feels more like a dystopian nightmare than a former American town. The haunting phenomena. Centralia's desolation, combined with the fire's relentless presence, has given rise to strange and unexplained phenomena. The smoke that whispers. Visitors to Centralia often report hearing faint whispers carried on the smoke. These voices are described as mournful, as though the spirits of those displaced by the fire or miners lost in the town's early days are crying out. Paranormal investigators have captured chilling EVP recordings, with one investigator hearing the words "leave now" repeated in a low guttural tone. The Phantom Road. Centralia's abandoned roads, particularly Graffiti Highway, are notorious for strange sightings. Shadowy figures have been reported walking along the cracked asphalt, only to vanish when approached. Visitors often feel as though they are being watched, their steps followed by unseen eyes. The Screaming Sinkhole. Several visitors have claimed to hear screams emanating from the sinkholes that dot Centralia's landscape. These screams, described as inhuman and agonizing, seem to grow louder the closer one gets to the. Some believe these are the voices of those who perished in the mines, trapped forever beneath the earth. Over the years, Centralia's eerie atmosphere has inspired countless legends. The Watcher of the Mine. A persistent legend is that of the Watcher, a shadowy figure said to guard the town's abandoned mine. Those who venture too close to the mine entrances often report an overwhelming sense of dread, as though they are being watched by an unseen presence. Some claim to see glowing eyes staring out from the darkness. The Curse of Centralia. Some believe Centralia's fate was no accident but the result of a curse placed on the town. In the late 1800s, Centralia was the site of violent clashes between coal miners and their employers, particularly during the rise of the Molly Maguire. Legend has it that a member of the group cursed the land, vowing it would never know peace. The inspiration for Silent Hill. The haunting imagery of Centralia caught the attention of filmmakers and game developers, serving as the inspiration for the fictional town of Silent Hill. The perpetual fog, cracked roads, and oppressive atmosphere of the game and film adaptation draw heavily from Centralia's desolation. Fans of the series often visit Centralia, drawn by its connection to Silent Hill. Many leave with stories of their own strange encounters, as though the town's curse transcends fiction. The Eternal Fire. Experts estimate that the fire beneath Centralia could burn for another 250 years, leaving the land above it scarred and uninhabitable. As the years pass, nature has begun to reclaim the town, with trees and grass sprouting amidst the ruins. But the eerie desolation, combined with the lingering smoke and sulfur, ensures that Centralia remains a place unlike any other. A gateway to the unknown. Centralia's transformation from a thriving mining town to a desolate ghost town has left an indelible mark on American folk. While the underground fire remains a scientific marvel and a cautionary tale, the town's eerie atmosphere has given rise to countless legends, ghost stories, and paranormal encounters. For those who visit, Centralia is more than a forgotten town. It is a place where the boundaries between reality and the supernatural. The shadowy figures of Centralia. As visitors wander the abandoned streets, they often report seeing shadowy figures darting between the ruins. These figures, described as humanoid but distorted, seem to appear out of the dense smoke that rises from the ground. Some believe these shadows are the restless spirits of miners who perished in Centralia's early days, trapped forever in the subterranean inferno. Others speculate that the figures are manifestations of the town's cursed energy, drawn to the despair and destruction that has consumed. One visitor described walking along Graffiti Highway late at night when she noticed a shadowy figure standing motionless on the horizon. She initially thought it was another tourist, but as she approached, the figure seemed to dissolve into the smoke. Moments later, she felt a cold hand on her shoulder, though she was entirely alone. The experience left her shaken, convinced that something unnatural had followed her out of the town. The haunting glow of the fire. While much of Centralia is shrouded in smoke and darkness, certain areas emit an otherworldly glow. This eerie light, attributed to the underground fire, creates an unsettling visual effect that seems almost alive. On particularly misty nights, the glow reflects off the smoke, creating an ethereal, ghostly landscape. Paranormal investigators have suggested that this glow could act as a conduit for spiritual energy, amplifying the town's already intense atmosphere. Some visitors report feeling drawn to the glowing areas, only to experience sudden feelings of dread or disorientation upon approaching. One investigator captured a photograph of the glow, later discovering what appeared to be faces within the light, distorted and anguished, as though screaming from the depths of the fire. Whispers in the fog. The pervasive fog that blankets Centralia is not merely a byproduct of the fire, it seems to carry voices. Visitors frequently report hearing whispers, faint but distinct, carried on the wind. These whispers often sound like fragments of conversations, too faint to discern but unmistakably human. One chilling account comes from a group of ghost hunters who visited the town at dusk. As they explored the ruins, they began to hear their names softly called, one by one, from different directions. Thinking it was a prank, they regrouped, only to hear all their names whispered simultaneously, echoing through the fog. Panicked, they left immediately, but the experience haunted them for years. The screams beneath the earth. Among the most harrowing phenomena reported in Centralia are the screams said to emanate from the ground itself. These screams, described as inhuman and filled with agony, seem to rise from the cracks in the earth where smoke escapes. Locals and visitors alike have tried to trace the source, but the screams remain a chilling mystery. One account involves a construction worker who was part of an early effort to contain the fire. While drilling near one of the sinkholes, he claimed to hear what sounded like a woman screaming in pain. The sound grew louder as they drilled deeper, until the entire crew refused to continue. The project was abandoned and the sinkhole was left untouched. The lingering curse. Centralia's tragic history has given rise to rumors of a curse that predates the fire. During the late 1800s, the town was a hotspot for labor unrest, with coal miners clashing violently with company owners. The Molly Maguires, a secret society of miners, were accused of carrying out assassinations and sabotage in their fight for workers' rights. Many were executed, but not before one of their leaders allegedly cursed the town, vowing that it would burn for eternity. Some believe the underground fire is the physical manifestation of this curse, a punishment that has trapped the town in a perpetual state of decay. Paranormal enthusiasts argue that the curse has intensified the town's supernatural activity, attracting malevolent entities that feed on the despair and fear left in the fire's wake. Ghost stories from the few who remain. Despite the dangers, a handful of residents still call Centralia home. These holdouts have their own stories of strange occurrences, from phantom footsteps in their homes to objects moving on their own. One elderly resident, who has lived in Centralia for over 50 years, described hearing tapping on her windows late at night, even though her home is surrounded by nothing but empty lots and smoke-filled fields. Another resident spoke of seeing shadowy figures standing in the ruins of the local church, as though attending a service long forgotten. When he approached, the figures vanished, leaving behind only the faint scent of smoke and the sound of distant whispers. A magnet for the paranormal. Centralia's eerie reputation has made it a magnet for paranormal investigators, filmmakers, and thrill-seekers. High-tech equipment has captured chilling evidence. Unexplainable temperature drops, EVP recordings of anguished voices, and even video footage of shadowy figures moving through the fog. One investigator recorded a voice saying, "Help us," followed by a sudden burst of static that left her equipment unusable. Visitors often leave with more questions than answers, convinced that Centralia is a place where the veil between the living and the dead is impossibly thin. Silent Hill and cultural legacy. The haunting imagery of Centralia inspired the fictional town of Silent Hill, a place defined by its perpetual fog, crumbling infrastructure, and malevolent presence. Fans of the game and film adaptation flocked to Centralia, hoping to experience the real-life horror that inspired the franchise. However, many leave with stories of their own strange encounters, as though the town itself has absorbed the darkness of its fictional counterpart. One fan described visiting Graffiti Highway at night, only to feel an overwhelming sense of being watched. As he turned to leave, he noticed his footprints disappearing in the fog, as though someone or something was erasing them. The eternal flame. Centralia's fire continues to burn, a relentless reminder of the town's tragic fate. Experts estimate it could smolder for another 250 years, consuming the remaining coal and leaving the land above it scarred and lifeless. Yet, despite its desolation, Centralia endures as a place of fascination and fear, a testament to humanity's vulnerability in the face of nature's wrath. A final warning. For those brave enough to visit, Centralia offers a glimpse into a world that feels both alien and disturbingly familiar. Its smoke-filled streets, eerie silence, and haunting phenomena leave an indelible impression on all who dare to enter. But visitors should tread carefully, for Centralia is not just a ghost town, it is a place where the past refuses to die, and where the shadows of history are all too real. Would you dare to walk its cursed streets, knowing what waits in the smoke? Or would you heed the warnings of those who came before, their voices still echoing in the toxic air?